Let's try that. Oh man. Oh man. God, Logan does that. All right. I almost feel like Albert Hitchcock. Okay. I think you're alive, right? Good. Okay. I think we're alive. This is Don. It is 12:06 a.m. on a wonderful Friday morning. Friday, October 23rd, 2020. And I'm a little later than I want to be tonight. So this is a late report because I'm late. It's been a late day. It's a very busy day for a lot of things tonight, but I'm going to apologize for that ahead of time. So, give me a moment here, folks. I'm queuing myself up. Hopefully, I'm reading you correctly. Okay, can you see? Okay. Good morning. Last night was the debate, third, I won't say Democrat debate. Last night was the third presidential debate. Here. Let me do something real quick. Be right back. This is what happens when you think you're doing centering shots. Okay. All right, I'm just going to try it. Last night was the third Democratic Party. Last night was the third presidential debate in third presidential debate between the incumbent President Donald J. Trump, the Republican, and the Democratic opposition or Democratic challenger, Joseph P. Biden of Delaware, or former Vice President Biden under the Obama administration. They met in Nashville, Tennessee tonight. The goal of tonight's debate, naturally, the issue originally was supposed to be a foreign policy debate, and it was basically moderated by Kristen Welker, the White House correspondent for NBC in Washington. Tonight's debate was based on, had a 6-question basis point. It was kind of an open-ended situation, if my memory serves correctly. Tonight, effectively, was the last public forum these two gentlemen would be seen together on a national stage together. And for President Trump, who right now, according to all major reputable polls, is trailing considerably, depending upon like the high single digits to low double digits. This was the last chance he had to change the trajectory of this race. Realistically, it is a significant, I think at this point, up to a sixth of the country's electorate has already voted by mail-in and early voting already. There's a significant chunk of voters to come. The president needed to change the trajectory of voters' opinions and attitudes about him going into this, especially the high negative rating and a low approval rating on just about every rating except for the economy. The president needed to change the narrative, especially also concurrently in that he just got sick of coronavirus himself. He took him off the campaign trail for a week or so. He needed to get some momentum and change the narrative to being something that was essentially a narrative he could work with, or his strengths. Tonight's debate, from a lot of observers' opinions on social media and media, it doesn't look like there's a breakout moment tonight in terms of the president. Although the key things that I hear are that the president's performance was vastly improved from the first debate. In that, in the first debate, he was a little bit of a, you could say, this is a kind of perception or kind of description, was all over the place in terms of his attacks and messaging and statements and whatnot in regards to his opponent, Joe Biden, and overall on his stances and on basically giving people a reason to vote for him and what the second term looks like. But again, tonight was a debate that was rather subdued in comparison to the first debate. And that being said, I spent my night tonight, in contrast to where I spent my night the first debate, which was actually, I think, was the best place to be. I was at the the Trump victory office for the first debate, and watched the crowd in that room basically kind of just hooping and hollering, in support of their candidate, watching that debate, and seeing, in real time people's responses. As the Democrat, I went to the Biden-Harris campaign tonight, or not tonight, but Thursday night. Now it's Friday morning. That's why you don't do late reports. In comparison, held a campaign event which was considerably subdued. It was considerably subdued, a lot more, I would say, traditional. It's a traditional campaign event or traditional, watch parties, as I've seen in the past. Because, well, first one was definitely not something normal, or definitely not a traditional campaign event. With that being said, anything else? Okay. With that being said, tonight's campaign event was, had featured the U.S. House candidate Patricia Ackerman as the guest of honor of the night, and other candidates like school board candidates, Kurt Thigpen, who's basically on his way to being the next school board trustee for his respective district, and other activists and supporters were in attendance tonight at Rue Bourbon in Midtown, Reno tonight. I got a chance to kind of talk to a couple of folks. Talk to the president of NVDems, Ms. Geneva Wolf, and I talked to Mr. Thigpen about what they thought about the event tonight, not tonight, but last night, and how they thought the campaign was going, and other things of that nature. It looked like they were in good spirits. I think there's kind of it's weird. I can tell you, having gone to two different campaign events, now gone to two different campaign events in different times of the campaign, and tell you with a different sense of momentum, I could sense a different energy in this event on Thursday. It appeared, the momentum appears to be with the Biden folks right now, or at least the positive enthusiasm, as opposed with it feels like a world away now when I look back on the Republican event on early in September. It appears that it feels like a world away. It feels like the momentum had been in a different place, the focus was in a different place, and the clock is ticking. There's now 12 days left in this campaign, until November 3rd. We've got, I haven't done a tally yet on what the numbers look like. I'll tell you right now. So I have my setup here right now. Here in Washoe County, darn it. Washoe County right now. In Washoe County, so far, here where I stand, and again, they tally the numbers the voter registrations on Thursdays, and they try to do the numbers daily. Just a heads up. So as of today, I'm going to give you a quick update. The margin between Republicans and Democrats is a difference of 720 here in Washoe County. So Democrats have 100,600 106,140 registered voters. Republicans have 106,800. Margin of 720 between the two. It's under 1,000 now in this county as we stand. And then nonpartisan 68,266 in this county as we stand right now. As of this hour, as of today. So those numbers are going to be current for another week. Let's see here. So I'm going to give you a turnout report as of today, or at least as much as possible. And I guess they're not compiling these things, which is thank you. Okay. So I mean, I have to total this up in real time. So let's go ahead and I'm going to total this up. This is why you do this stuff before you go online. But it's okay. I think it just makes me, I think, better on my toes. I figure it out, or it just demonstrates why you don't do this. 68,909. 68,822. 55,515. 52967. 34,218. 39,414. 38. 552. 34, 544. 30, 30. 19,787 and 10,595. Okay. Okay. I'm not doing this right somehow. All right. So, as of today, I knew I was doing this wrong. They've done the homework for me. As of today, according to the county, the cumulative combined mail-in and early vote turnout daily cumulative numbers updated daily between during early voting number period. Democrat 48,000, Republican 39,000, nonpartisan. Let's just total it. Let's just do this. Actually, do math. So 111,857 voters have voted in our county so far. The difference between the two major parties, 48,370 minus 39,376. Difference is nearly 9,000. It's basically 8,994 is the difference at this present hour. Not including a nonpartisan break in that. It's a sizable lead. These are the kind of leads you see in a pretty heavy general, like this looks like 2018 in a funny way. I need to reach out to those who had a hand in major campaigns during that time to kind of tell me what to do, tell me what was going on and what they were doing, because these trends look similar. I mean, it looks like 2018 in terms of turnout and potential responses. So I don't know modeling wise what 2018 would look like if you proposed it in this race, like races like out in Sparks, like Assembly 31, in Sparks City Council for the battle between Abbott and Styroff, here in Senate District 15 in Reno, what that would look like modeling wise, but more than likely, when you have a situation where you got more Democrats voting than so far, I mean, they're just banking this stuff up. it just means that that's the higher hill the Republicans have to overcome on election day, which that is likely what's going to be the eventual outcome of what will happen. Is the Republicans will make this up, have to make it up on election day throughout northern Nevada. So my presumption and my logic now tells me that if you're behind here in Washoe, if you're getting blown out in Carson and down in Vegas, in Clark County, what county in rural Nevada can get you where you need to go? The first county you start looking at is Carson, Douglas, Lyon, and the next populace is along the I-80 corridor to get you where you need to go, because you need to now suddenly get those numbers up. And they do vote; those counties do vote at higher levels as it is, because I mean, again, it's a higher civic virtue. I think it's a cultural aspect of it, but also, you know, that base is excited, and there's a reason why the president made a point coming out here on Sunday. To gin up the vote in the debate out in the rules. I'm going to harken back to 2014, the red wave. The red wave worked because they had a lot of things going for them, and for Republicans and Democrats did not. Democrats did not have just essentially didn't have a candidate base to excite them from the top of the ticket all the way down on key races. And as a result, they got swept, and no one expected, for lack of a better word, except those who have been paying attention for some time. They took over the assembly and they had a supermajority in both legislative bodies in Carson City for a minute. And ironic as it is, they didn't use it very well, according to some conservatives. They didn't pass legislation like voter ID laws. They didn't pass key conservative policies that would have probably worked to their advantage long term, because it really wasn't there. It wasn't the focus at the time. It was Governor Sandoval was driving the focus, and the focus was more on pragmatic policy agenda items like education and infrastructure and tax issues, which got done. And unfortunately, the base in response saw a lot of the MBT tax being imposed, the education policy getting imposed, and they weren't very happy with it. Keep in mind, it was a low turnout election anyway, so it wasn't very much it didn't take much to just upset the base and kind of cause harm. In the situation we're in now, on the flip side, the high turnout situation is going to advantage Democrats flat out, and they're excited and they're motivated. They're motivated because for them, this election for Democrats, as I've found, talking to Democrat candidates and talking to Democrat activists who have been in this game, and I'm glad I talked to someone who's been in this for a long, long, long time. You know who you are. This election it's more than just about votes. It's more than a vote. A quote as a campaign is being called. It's about agenda items, about legacy issues. It's about doing something bigger, and that's why they're turning out in bigger droves. And a lot of it also has to do with the dislike of the incumbent. The president has a unique situation where he has a high name ID. People know who he is, and they form an opinion about him, and that opinion is registering in votes, flat out. So, swing right back down to the debate. Why does this matter? Tonight's debate was the last chance for the president to try to get people on Team Biden, in that Biden universe, or on who have the potentiality of voting for him, to maybe give him a thought. I'm trying not to take what the pundit said too much. And I'm going to try not to give you some punditry, because I believe that you're smart enough to think for yourself. But I think, and I observe here tonight, from Thursday night, I didn't see a breakout moment for the president. I just saw different tactics. I just saw the president not being so aggressive, not interrupting so much, and at least trying to manage the situation. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he actually had some responses on some other hand. responses, and I think there was restraint, a great deal of restraint that Joe Biden engaged in not responding. One of the biggest points of response, I think that we'll look back on it in regards to the debate tonight, talking about corruption and the families. There was a given the family's going to come up again. Tonight, Joe Biden, it was really his turn. The messaging and news stories were definitely playing towards to him and advantaging him in regards to the recent news of the president's banking situation in foreign nations like Britain, Ireland, and China. Could have totally talked about that. He didn't. Could have talked about trademark. Didn't. And I think by doing that, I think that may benefit him with certain voters, namely moral voters who look at character issues and are really kind of keeping to the Vice President Biden's messaging phrase, character or America's soul is on the ballot. Character's on the ballot this time. The fact that he didn't, as they say, dig into the mud, potentially, may endear him with those voters. Tonight was a close, effectively, and I think Joe Biden, stayed on message. And I want to quote something, a phrase that Bo Biden used to say to his father before every debate as well. I think it's something, this pitch phrase to stay focused or something. I can't remember it. Stay focused or something. I can't remember it. I won't remember it right now. But Joe Biden, I think was focused tonight in that regard. So, what I'm going to try to do, I think, as we close this election out, at the presidential, at the federal level, and at the local level, is I want to try to talk to more candidates and try to, because I think a lot of you are making your minds up right now. I think a lot of you have already been thinking about what's going on here, but you really don't know what to do about here, because it's important. I think city council matters. For lack of a better word, your city, if you live in Reno or Sparks, is going to make some really difficult choices in the coming year about funding, finance, and services. Because when we get through this election, we're going to have to deal with some serious budget deficit concerns post-pandemic. Because for lack of a better word, there's an economic, this pandemic is part of the problem. When we're done with the problem, we're going to deal with economics. And economics will dictate the course of our communities. Washoe County, above all, will probably be the next place we'll check out. I would like to look at it too. I'm hoping that our voter guide comes out soon. But I'm going to try to talk to more candidates, nevertheless. And we're still formulating also, trying to put together a plan, because I think this election is going to, for Nevada's sake, I would be remiss in my responsibilities if I didn't say that this is going to be the election of the science, not just simply who wins. Who's going to chart the course of our communities for the next decade. And whoever shows up on November 3rd, whoever shows up now November 3rd will have to say on whether the new Nevada wins or Nevada wins. You can take that state for wherever you want, but I think arguably there's a culture clash moment we're having here. The ultimate question for me at the legislature is, does Jason Frierson get the supermajority? Does Nicole Cannizzaro get her supermajority? If they do, then that legislative opinion doesn't matter anymore so much, because they have the votes. They don't need them so much. If they don't, the next most important person in the game is Senator James Silvermeyer from Douglas County, because whether you can't pass legislation without one Republican vote or the Republicans altogether, and he'll naturally be deciding the fate of a lot of things in that case. And he has proven a very tough, smart, capable political player in the special session in the last session, and he'll be just as powerful and influential if the Democrats fail to get a supermajority in the Senate. Again, the Senate is where this matters. So, pending the outcome of this race, pending the outcome of U.S. House race, pending the outcome of assembly races, municipal races here in this community. I'm really not focused on judge races, and I have to apologize. A big reason why is, unfortunately, that takes a lot of time and resources, and I wish I could spend time and energy to talk about things like the Jefferson Plan, where you appoint judges initially for the first half of the term, and then you make them run a couple years later so they're accountable to the public. Talking about campaign finance in judicial races, like those are important issues because judges, oh my gosh, municipal district appeal court and Supreme Court judges have a huge amount of say in Nevada political life. For lack of a word, it was a judicial decision that altered political outcome here in Reno in 2014. So I apologize for covering that, but those races do count, regardless if we're not covering it. So nevertheless, I still encourage you to do your homework, talk to these folks, check out what their judicial thoughts are. If you can find opinions, read them. But I feel bad that we're not covering it so much, but that's just the honest truth. And also, I'm not a lawyer. I don't feel equipped to study that stuff very efficiently. It's hard. It's hard to assess how someone's going to rule on a battery case or on municipal cases or a property case based upon prior decision or litigation or campaign finance funding. You just don't. I mean, that's like me asking how you feel in the morning and then ask you 20 minutes later and ask you how you're going to feel at night. It might change, especially because facts matter. Facts change and things like that. By the way, there's one guy I'm thinking about, Henry Sotelo, wanted to reference him. I want to say thank you for reaching out to me, and I wanted to also, if he's also he's applying for a position. I wanted to reference that. And if you're looking, check out his stuff. So just a thought. Just wanted to reference that. Again, just kind of briefly mention that. Not saying casting a lot per se, but just want to throw it out real quick. Debates, presidential races, voting numbers. Yeah, I'm gonna call it good right now. It's been a long 24 hours. I'm gonna try to put together a story about tonight's debates. And then this is gonna be a long weekend. This weekend, I believe we have a prominent guest this weekend, the Biden-Harris campaign, and maybe other campaigns are coming in. So, sorry, I take this off. They're getting foggy. Nevertheless, that is my update tonight. I want to say special thanks to, yes, one of my ramblings would not be incomplete without giving the battle of the emails. So, speaking of the debate tonight, both Nevada Republicans and Democrats had a statement to give each other tonight. And I almost forgot something that we did. Why does it take forever for this stuff to pop up? Oh gosh, okay. I am sorry, guys. This is taking forever. Again, this is why you pre-light this stuff. Uh, you know what? I wanted to read a comment. You know, the chairman of the Nevada State Republican Party had a statement, and I solemnly cannot find it. And I bet you when I log off, I'll find it. Sorry, folks, it's been a long day. I guess, you know, I think it's just time. I'm gonna call it. Yeah, I'm gonna call it, folks. I apologize. That Republicans had a comment, and I'll probably post this online. Chairman of the state party had a comment about the president, about their candidate's performance, and so I think the Dems. And also, I want to say thank you to the Lion Publishers Association for granting us a win tonight. I wanted to say that too. Thank you for honoring. Thank you for giving us an award for our coverage of the Reno protests and events that just occurred, and the distinguishment of the fact that the events happened after were not Black Lives Matter protests, but a splinter group after, and the violence that occurred after, including my assault. I'm going to take this brief moment to speak candidly, I guess, as painful as it sounds. Thank you for the award. I was working when I heard that we had won, and it is an honor actually to be bestowed that. But also at the same time, I think humbly and honestly, I can't in good conscience celebrate while those who were impacted by this and those who committed this offense are still out free. As it would be a bit premature. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss the award, but I feel until those who committed the act of assault to me and destruction of property in my community, until those are brought to justice, I think it's prudent that I restrain myself. Just saying. So, humility, I guess. Humility, humble. I'm humble about this, but very best to do so. I'm still honored, and I feel that I simply was just doing my job. You know, side note, after I got hit and I got picked off the ground, I was a bit dazed, obviously. It was just like my head was throbbing, my face hurt. And I was like thinking to myself, going, what am I going to do? What am I doing? And I was thinking, like, I should go home. I should go get help or something. I felt if I had left that moment, if I had walked away, if I had, you know, it would have been a betrayal, if not it would have been giving up. And I have a duty to not. I have a duty to not walk away unless things happen. the front door of our community was open, and someone attempted to light a blaze. There was disorder in the streets, and I felt an obligation to show what was going on. And it became kind of duty, kind of kicked in me real quick. And it was like, all right, go. I'm not leaving. We don't go. Until someone tells me, until I can't go any longer. My colleague asked me about the filming. I'm glad this colleague and I didn't stop filming. Because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to show what happened. And so, yeah. I'm not going to lie, part of me suddenly thinks about that and feels like, am I different? Yeah. I don't feel the same. I don't know if I operate the same. I definitely don't. I don't know, I just don't feel like I think the same way or act the same way as much. I mean, I feel like I'd like to think that my conscience is always still intact, or my thinking process is still somewhat linear in some way, but yours does this a bit. But yeah, maybe another day we'll talk about this. Thank you. Thank you to my colleagues, to Reno, to the people who supported me all throughout, and are still supporting me. Thank you. I still got more work to do, so I'm still up this late. I don't give up easy. I just don't. Never surrender. Never give up. In a funny way, in the back of my mind, I've got Winston Churchill's phrase, "Fight, we shall fight them on the beaches. We shall never surrender." Running in the back of my head. What's really kind of driving me a little bit is my old man. My dad always told me, this is a phrase my dad used to tell me. And it always sticks in the back of my mind. I used to tell him I was tired as a kid. And his response is my favorite response. And I look back on it now, it's kind of a good thing. Tired of what? Okay. Back to work. Anyhow, so, am I tired? Physically, yes. But nevertheless, I'm going to call it a night. Today's Friday, October 23rd. Tomorrow there is an event in Carson City that I'll be observing. Wish me luck with that. I believe on Sunday is a social polls event along with a major event in the Biden-Harris campaign. And I think that's what I've got on my deck. Hopefully a couple other interviews along the way. Sorting this whole thing out. So, today is a new day. Literally, it's a new dawn. I'm trying not to quote a Nina Simone song. Anyhow, this is Don saying good night. Take care, and thank you for enduring this. Good night.